The old phone. Nam is an ordinary office worker, living alone in a small apartment. One day, when passing by a second-hand store, he happened to see a pretty phone but at a very cheap price. The owner of the store was a skinny old man with sunken eyes, looked at Nam and smiled faintly. "Are you sure you want to buy it?" Nam laughed. "Yes, I think it's still very good." The old man sighed softly and wrapped the phone up. "Okay. But never answer the phone in the middle of the night." Nam frowned. The old man's words were strange, but he didn't pay too much attention. Message at midnight. When he got home, Nam excitedly opened the phone to check. Although the phone was old, it still worked smoothly. However, when he opened his contacts, he found that there was only one saved contact with a strange name, Friend. He tried texting, "Who is this?" There was no response. Nam shrugged, thinking that maybe this was just the previous owner's number, then forgot about it. That night, while he was sleeping soundly, his phone suddenly rang. Nam woke up with a start. When he looked at the screen, he felt a chill down his spine. The call was from Friend. His heart pounded, he hesitated and decided not to answer. The phone stopped ringing after a few seconds. But immediately, a message was sent. "Why aren't you answering?" Nam shivered. The feeling of unease kept him from sleeping. But no matter how hard he tried to think, he couldn't explain this. The voice on the phone. The next day, Nam deleted Friend from his contacts, thinking that this would put an end to the strangeness. But that night, when the clock struck 12, the phone rang again. It was still Friend. This time, he decided to pick up. "Hello. Who is it?" Nam tried to keep his voice calm. Silence. But then, from the other end of the line, a cold, hoarse voice rang out. "I'm standing in front of your house." Nam froze. With trembling hands, he ran to the main door and looked through the peephole. There was no one outside. He opened the door and looked around the hallway. Everything was still dark and quiet as usual. Maybe someone was playing a prank on him. But when he returned to the room, the phone on the table lit up with a new message. "I saw you." Nam was stunned. The shadow behind. A feeling of fear enveloped him. He decided to turn off the phone and put it in the drawer. But things didn't end there. From that night on, Nam constantly had the feeling of being watched. Strange things began to appear in the house. Objects were moved even though he hadn't touched them. The window was wide open even though he clearly remembered it was closed. Every night, he felt a dark shadow passing by in the corner of the room, but when he looked closely, there was nothing. One night, while looking in the mirror in the bathroom, Nam suddenly stopped. In the mirror, there was a person standing behind him. A dark shadow, no face, only a pair of white eyes, staring at him. He screamed, turned around, but there was no one. When he looked back in the mirror, the shadow had disappeared. But at that moment, the phone in the drawer automatically lit up, the screen displaying a new message. "Don't come back." The horror truth. Nam couldn't stand it anymore. The next day, he went back to the second-hand store to find the old man selling phones. But when he got there, he was stunned. The store had been closed for a long time. A nearby neighbor saw him standing in front of the store and said, "Who are you looking for?" "I'm looking for the old man selling phones the other day." The neighbor's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" "This store has been abandoned for a year. The owner was an old man, but he passed away a long time ago." Nam stood there, stunned. So, who was the person who sold him the phone the other day? He turned around and ran away. But as soon as he got on the motorbike, the phone in his pocket vibrated. A call came from Friend. His hands were shaking, but this time, he couldn't help but answer the phone. "Hello," his voice was trembling. This time, there was no voice. Only a soft, cold laugh. And then, a whisper said, "You can't escape." The phone suddenly went dead. From then on, no matter how hard Nam tried, the phone couldn't be turned back on. But that night, while he was sleeping, a new message suddenly appeared on the screen. "I'm right next to you." Nam turned around. And the wardrobe door slowly opened.